All right, everybody. Good night to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is you tune in. Hope all is well for you. I'm your host, the professor. This is episode, I guess, officially episode number one of the entitled Professor's Classroom. The idea came from me and Tyrone when we were discussing our merch ideas, and yeah, I think that's gonna be what we're gonna stick with. I don't have my whiteboard available as far as a means to kind of broadcast everything else. I'm still using my laptop computer and having my laptop propped up in a spot where I can show my whiteboard. It's just not going to be all that ideal. So instead, I have something else, which is something I've used before in a previous stream. So that should be good for here. On this side of the screen is the man that wanted this to happen in the first place. So welcome back to Trey.
What's going on, man?
And on the bottom is someone that made the comment of "Guess who's back?" when I tried to reach out to him so that he can be back, and it only took until just a couple minutes ago where he was actually back with us. So, how's it going, Alex?
Yes, was back.
You had the nerve to say that in all caps too, and didn't even respond. But that's neither here nor there. All right, so main topic that we're going to discuss tonight is going to be, well, the fill in the blank on the bottom. It's something I asked on previous shows on the I want to say not yesterday's but Thursday's AFN show, which, by the way, this is being broadcast on Mad Mike Sports YouTube channel. This is being broadcast on AFN's channel, but then I also found a way to include this on my own personal channel. So maybe show that some love every now and then. If it's ever me that's hosting it, then that's when it's going to be added to the list. So there's also, on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all that other good stuff as well. So if you're here, it's because I made sure that you can be found wherever you are. But let's get into who else is here with us in our real roll call. It's about time I have a good level of company in order to say that. Yeah. So we got Bubba Gump. What up? What up? We have Aunt J, fellow AFN creator. Got Big Ant over here. What it do? Got Floyd Donnelly, who really wants us to make sure that his last name is Donnelly. We have Maggie T joining us. We got D Coleman joining us. We got the RC and Plane Builder joining us. We got Mad Mike Sports joining us. With
I know
with
Mike.
some friendly comments, I guess. And then Mon D joining us as well. So thanks, Joe. Everyone else that's tuning in. So yeah, you guys are going to be as much of our participants as we are on the panel. So now back to this fill in the blank. The Falcons will only go as far as blank takes them. So we're going to throw out as many answers and as many possibilities to this as we can think of for tonight. Your comments included, our comments on the panel included as well. And I think that Trey, here's what we're going to do, because I want to be more specific, right? Because saying a defense or offense, that's too vague, right? Because obviously, yeah, having a good offense and having a good defense is going to be crucial in order to win a game. But what we're trying to say here is, okay, well, what part of the offensive line, what part of the defensive line, as people are already trying to make suggestions for. So we're going to try to dig deeper into, okay, well, where's the source of the problem at? And then let's go from there. So Trey, I know that you mentioned last time I brought up this discussion in the trenches, but where do you want to specifically start off at first?
I'm going to start with the defensive side because I just love defense. Because I just like hitting people, it's a very fun thing. But for me, it have to be those edge rushers. And the reason I say that, Grady is going to be Grady. We know what we're going to get from Grady. But in order to get that help, I know he has to have someone beside him, but he also has to have edge rushers for when, they don't get there, the quarterback steps up, he's already right there. he can't, step up and then the quarterback can just scoot to the outside or, scoot to whichever way. Kind of doesn't work like that. And you notice a lot of quarterbacks did that, especially a lot of mobile quarterbacks did that last year. And again, I think nearly every quarterback we face this year is a mobile quarterback other than, of course, Tom. But you got Trey Lance and Lamar and Kyler Murray and all those guys. You have to have edge pressure so they have to step up, especially Kyler when he's 5'9" and can barely see over an offensive lineman. But
he's 5'10" on cleats.
Okay, 5'10", maybe 5'11" when he has to
on
jump.
his tippy toes.
Yeah, but yeah, it just I really think it starts with Lorenzo and Ade and Arnold and D'Angelo with them making that outside pressure, so that the quarterback has to step up into whoever Grady has on his left or right, whatever side, and then him has to start with those two.
Okay. Alex, I know you're already kind of multitasking. I don't even know how you're doing that, but what's your number one answer for this? I'm writing it down off screen as we go along.
Okay. So yeah, basically, I think that mainly two people. Well, actually, no, we'll throw three people. Three people are going to be the very, very key important piece to improvement for our season, just based off of the people that we're playing. And those three people are Anthony Rush, Nick Thurman, and Taquan Graham. Anthony Rush I'm so glad Dean Pease picked him up in midway through the season, because just him being him already just fixes, he can take on double teams and split two defenders just naturally. He doesn't really have to do much work. He's just a natural anchor. But that alone isn't enough. I need to see him show more lateral agility on these zone plays, so he can still stay ahead when people are trying to cut and reach block him, which is a lot to ask. But on top of that, I also want to see more shed consistency, just making sure that he can shed with a lot of consistency, because he has a lot of he has big shoes to fill since we didn't re-sign Mike Pennell. So he's got some shoes to fill. And then Taquan Graham, he's athletic as I don't know what. So basically just him shedding and making sure that he's consistent with his anchor. That's what I want from him. And then Nick Thurman is like a blend between Anthony Rush and Taquan Graham, but he just hasn't shown much consistency in shedding. So that's what I need from our D line. That's just going to help relieve pressure from Grady, from our edge guys, from Dion, Whoops, my bad. But yeah, it's just gonna relieve pressure off of our guys.
All right, so I just condensed that answer down to hefty fellows up in the middle. And another answer here from Brian Peoples talking about the center position. So I'm going to include that on the list.
I get that too, because I think really the offensive line, not even really the entire offense, just comes down to whether either it's between Drew Dahlman or Matt Hennessy or whoever they find in free agency later. I really think it comes down to those two to see how this, not just the offensive line, but how this offense works. Because we seen last year with how many times Matt Ryan tried stepping up into the pocket, and defensive lineman that's not even that big, maybe as big as Grady, can just bull rush them and he's already there. So I think it does, one of the main things to the season does come down to Matt Hennessy and Drew Dahlman, surprisingly.
Okay. We have Just Visiting here. I think this is the first time I've seen you, so welcome to the stream. It's a good answer right here. The belief in what the head coach is saying. So I'm gonna include that. Let's see. How do we want to condense this down? Just straight up belief.
Yeah. I mean, you see what he's doing to Alameda and what he said. What was that? Was that Thursday or was that yesterday?
Uh, Probably like Wednesday or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, I mean, if this team believes they can get to the playoffs and they work hard enough for it, and in the games they work hard enough for it, hey, you never know what can happen.
Donnelly. I hope I'm saying that right. Donnelly. I keep messing up his name, and I'm sorry for that, but because I'm like trying to like read it phonetically. But all right, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Donnelly. All right. Speaking of which, and so underneath him, D. Coleman. I was gonna say D line, but if we're gonna narrow it down, Grady Jarrett. Hey, our top guys can also be factors.
That's true. That's true. I guess with Grady, sometimes on plays, I think I just see like he'll just straight out lose a rep sometimes, and I'll just look at him and be like, you know, the guy that you just went up against was a rookie, and you just kind of lost the rep. I need you to kind of do less of that. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get
Yeah,
you one-on-ones. So
I'm guessing
yeah,
sometimes that can be the case because of like just straight up lack of familiarity. You don't know the guy's strength, you don't know the guy's weaknesses. Because of that, things can kind of throw you off surprise every now and then.
true. That's true.
Um, all right, here's an answer I'm going to throw out there. Just gonna already type it in off screen because this doesn't come up all that often in the mind when thinking about okay, well how much did we get in our own way last season? But I'm gonna go with pre-snap penalties
Mm.
Yeah,
or limitation
yeah,
of them rather. So I mean, because how many times have we seen a 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 2nd and 14, or third and 15, and like we're just kind of constantly digging ourselves into holes that we really can't get out of with the type of offense that we are.
yeah,
We'll have like a 3rd and 4 turn into a 3rd and 9 because of a false start penalty or whatever, because the center got switched and the timing of the offensive linemen just weren't there. And there's just a whole slew of things that can fall from just that alone. So
yeah.
I'm gonna
We're not
put
helping
that as an
ourselves out.
answer. All right. Well, we get some more comments to come in with the same. And you want to go around and make another round two, Trey?
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it to the offensive side this time. Um, and I think what a lot of people would say is, as far as Kyle Pitts or Drake London or Cordell Patterson, I really think it comes down to Marcus Mariota. And I say that because one, Marcus has to prove himself this year. If he might be the QB of the future. I mean, you never know. We've seen quarterbacks like Ryan Tannehill and maybe Jameis Winston, if he does something again this year, kind of redeem themselves on either another team or with, their same team, but after a year or so. But I think it comes down to Marcus because one, you can't really win any games if you don't have a good to decent quarterback. Two, the the starting job is wide open. I mean, you have a rookie quarterback that was just a 3rd rounder, and I know that 3rd rounder can end up potentially being our future quarterback, but still, it's a 3rd round quarterback, and then you have no one else. You have the head coach familiarity. You have the weapons. I mean, see a trio: CP, Drake, and Kyle. I'd say that's like top. I'd say about top 20. Better than what a lot of teams have, and when it comes down to that, you have to take that opportunity. And I know the entire offense may not be perfect because you don't even know who your wide receiver 2 is till really like the 3rd week of preseason. And you don't know who your right tackle or left guard or center is. But still, you've done more with a lot less. So for me, I'd have to go with Marcus.
Yeah, I put him down. Just like what Just Visiting was saying, like, is it just a matter of him staying healthy, or just his entire approach to the game?
Just his entire approach to the game. I mean, staying healthy is that, but most of the time that was. I think the last big injury he had was like 2017 or 2018, and that was when he was like young and was just out there trying to be flashy. I think he knows how to take care of himself, not off the field, but on the field too, just because of that. Uh, what's the word? Mm. Let's just say he knows what he's doing after a couple of years. So I
Right.
think, I don't think him staying healthy is a big problem. I think it just comes down to whether he plays good or whether he plays bad. It's really just up to that.
Yeah. First of all, Floyd, I'm not going to take credit for knowing anything about John Fitzpatrick because at the time that we drafted him, I had no idea who he was, and the rest of the chat actually kind of updated me about that. So I wasn't right about anything, but I just relayed the message that I was being taught to. Uh, but Okay, we got D Como with a second answer. My number two would be our free and strong safeties. Their play will determine if we have a good secondary or an elite secondary. Our corners are great right now, and I do agree. I would say that our secondary is our strong suit of the defense. I mean, it was last year, and it just got better. So I'm gonna add. Jeez.
I mean, I like that you went from Fabian Moreau to Casey Hayward. Like, yeah. Very big upgrade. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna include the safety play.
Alex, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the safety play too. That's gonna be something that I'm gonna be looking at because I noticed that our secondary, in terms of like rankings, right? We were, I want to say, middle in the pack in terms of yards or passing defense per Fox Sports, which I guess isn't reliable, but still, like that's a noticeable improvement. I think the safeties are going to determine which type of coverage we run more often because Dean Pease wasn't shy about playing man coverage or cover three, which is what teams are moving less towards. They're moving more towards two high safety coverages. But with Richie Grant, I know that he's capable of playing that free safety that we've been lacking here for a minute. But his speed is something that still is a legit kind of concern. And you have Eric Harris, who is great except for in man coverage. Like you see this man Eric Harris almost every single time he's in man coverage, he allows a tight end to get some yards. So these guys are going to have to work on being both good in man coverage because Richie Grant has his weaknesses there, and Jalen Hawkins is too small. So being good at man coverage and also making sure that we can still execute and cover three, because that might be something that Dean Pease starts to use more frequently. So that's something I want to see from my safeties.
All right. Got a Tony right here. Wide receiver two needs to be Cordero Patterson. He would really help the receiving core as a whole if he is at that point full time, and this would especially benefit Drake London and Kyle Pitts. My answer to that is kind of similar to what Wallace Smith was saying. I think Edwards is going to be the number two receiver, and Cordero is going to help out the receiving core if he's not the number two. Because Cordero is at his best when you don't know where he's going to line up. With
Yeah.
Brian Edwards, he's a number two. I think that most people can understand that. He's not gonna be like the same number one or number like kind of 1A or 1B option that he was back in South
Oakland.
Carolina with college when he was playing alongside Debo Samuel. But the one thing that I will say about Drake London, or not Drake London, but Brian Edwards, because we had a question a while back of being like, okay, well, hey, who's your next like potential breakout star? Back when on the Heavy Hitter show, Kyle was asked that question to Jew, and I thought he was going to ask that question around, across the panel. He didn't do that. He gave me more personal question, which I think was, kind of preferable. But my answer would have been Brian Edwards. And the reason as to why I think that is because of how his career so far has panned out. So if you remember back, Brian Edwards before the draft was heavily listed as like a first round pick, like a late first round talent. But then he had an injury that prevented him from really rising his draft stock. So he couldn't really perform much at the combine or at his pro day. So because of that, his draft stock slipped and he ended up being a third round draft pick. And then he's shown some flashes of brilliance, as I was talking about with a couple of other Raiders fans. Like he's shown flashes of just elite play at the wide receiver position, which is why he was highly regarded as a first round talent. But their chemistry and the way that they used Brian Edwards over there in Las Vegas, it just wasn't the same. So Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot collectively took that approach and being like, hey, I see that you have this fantastic player, but you're not really using him right. Send him over here and we can use him right. Why do you think we gave up draft capital? Why do you think we gave up a trade in order to get this guy? Because he is worth it, you know? And to think that we only gave up a 5th round pick for a 3rd rounder that was graded as a 1st rounder before his injury, like that's a straight up steal.
It really was a steal. Like when I was looking at his film for, I want to say, I think I was looking at it for maybe up to week 9, maybe week 10. He was doing really, really good. He shocked me. You know, when I first looked at him, I'm like, you know, maybe he doesn't really have the separation quickness, and like maybe he's just not as polished as a route runner. Which, I mean, I don't know if he has the best separation quickness, but from all of our receivers, I think he's probably up there because you know he can get off the line pretty well. He has good hand fighting skills. He has underrated separation quickness. Great ball skills. I think most of it's kind of just sometimes focus if he drops it, but he's a great all around player. Not to mention that he's a great run blocker. And
Yeah.
I think he provides a lot of good value on his team as a number 2, and I think you'll see him quite a bit running those deep crossers and stuff like that because Drake London's game really isn't that deep crosser type of thing. You know, he is kind of like I mean, I think he'll still run it to a degree, but you know, I don't want to compare him to Michael Thomas, but it's kind of what I see when I watch his stuff from USC. I see a lot of kind of play style-esque Michael Thomas. Not saying that he is Michael Thomas, but I like how he can just get off the line, use his hand fighting skills, even though I think he could still get better in that regard. And just his ball skills and how he just moves vertically and tries to separate and come to the ball. That's kind of how I see Drake London. So when we start dropping back and like running these plays out of shotgun and on 3rd down, which we weren't as great in, I think that that's where Drake London's value is really going to shine. And you're going to see a whole bunch of that and Brian Edwards and maybe a little bit of Auden Tate and stuff like that. So,
you know, just to add on to that, I think when it comes to Brian, a lot of people underrate his hands. Now, I did see as soon as the trade happened, like probably like 2 hours after, a lot of Raiders fans were saying he was lazy when it came to his catching, and you know he wasn't really like a 50-50 type guy. I don't know what they're talking about. You know, you put on.
They were just salty. Let's just be real. They were salty.
Game.
Like 2020, okay, I can see that because you know 2020, you know he was kind of getting used to it, and they weren't really using him a lot. You know, it was Tyrell. I keep forgetting his last name. It was Tyrell and Hunter. Yeah, Tyrell Williams and Hunter Renfrow and Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller. When you put all of them together, he was really never getting that many looks. 2021 came and Tyrell's getting on and off the injury list. He kind of had to step in there, and when you look at it, you like, this dude he's a great 50-50. I don't know what y'all mean. I mean, he had a one-handed catch with a dude all over him. I think that was against. I think that was against the Colts. Yeah, either the Cardinals or the Colts. He had another play where he just literally goes over the top of 2 safeties and catches one on the sidelines, has to toe tap it too. I mean, his hands are incredible. And then I don't know. And I think, you know, as far as the route running, I think he may be one of the best route runners here, if not the best route runner here. just because I never really looked at Drake London as this dude is just he's that guy when it comes he's the Calvin Ridley when it comes to route running. But as far as him and Drake London 1-on-1, and then you got Kyle Pitts at tight end, and then you may have Alden Tate or Cordell Patterson, which can catch contested passes too in the slot. I mean, that's a pretty good offense right there when you really look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, oh my bad.
I was going to bring up this comment from Brother Mike, but there's another Mike that wants to interrupt that one. So let's introduce him to the show. How's it going?
What's good, Mike?
You there?
I actually wasn't going to say anything. I mean, I was just in the back, just being nosy. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to tell,
Right.
as a matter of fact, I just want to say this. Alex and Trey, you ain't worth shit. I just want to say that. Just say that loud. Right. We good now?
Yeah, I'm gonna be back. Might put this on full time again. Half time for it. And
I think I'm worth a dime. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm not worth nothing.
I'm gonna be on Monday's show. I gotta pop up on Monday's show. I've been a little inconsistent, but I'm gonna be there on Monday's show. I got you, man. I love you, Mike.
Hey, we don't use those L words, okay? Y'all know how I get a fuck you and you ain't shit. All right, you should know that by being in the Discord. I don't use those words. All right, you guys continue to do. You guys,
Mike, you gotta give me my credit. I'm worth a dime. You know what I'm saying?
Look, you're my underling. I'm never going to give you credit until I feel like you're on your A game. I'm talking about A game. So deal with it.
True that.
Well, if that's all you have to say, then get out of here then.
Damn, I was going to leave you alone. You want to be punished too, huh?
All right, let's get into the Mike that actually had something to say. On the comment, it says that the Falcons will only go as far as the passion for the game takes him. And I appreciate this one. I'm going to take it a step further and say passion from the fan base. So I'm going to put that down because we already have belief in the team, and I think that those are synonyms of each other. But instead, we have passion from the fan base because, I mean, do I really need that pointed out anymore? I was, in case you don't know, SB Nation, or Secret Base is what they're now called on the YouTube channel. They actually uploaded another video from the Dorktown series. And I was watching that, and it was talking about this playoff game in 1976 that featured the Baltimore Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and how there was a plane crash in the stadium like 5 minutes after the game. And nothing bad happened, spoiler alert. Nothing bad happened because of how the game was. It was so bad that not even the Baltimore Colts fan base, soon to be the Baltimore Ravens fan base, even had just wanted to leave the game, and that actually ended up saving a lot of people's lives because the passion from the fan base over there in Baltimore, guess what? Like even now during their critical playoff losses, you can go back and find pictures of people in the upper decks, like the nosebleed sections, and people don't want to leave the stadium even after the game is over, even after the game has been blown out. Like that 28-12 playoff game against the Titans. Like there was still pictures of people up in the higher point of the stands where they just shown like basically it was a full deck still. And that was just incredible. So if we can get to that point, right? If we can get to the point where we can have trouble finding ourselves a seat in that stadium, then I think that's going to be, fantastic. So I'm going to put that there, and good that you agreed with me. Let's take a look at some of these other answers here. Let's see. You can do this another veteran rotation. Okay. Blizzard also complimenting Trey's profile pic.
I got this right after he got traded too. I don't know where I found this. I think it was a TikTok video I was watching, and they popped it up, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna say this and screenshot it, and then do that." But to get on that fan base point that you just made, Noah, I like my heart got so big for the team when they kind of opened the stadium up for the fans. And Kyle was like, "Man, I wasn't expecting this many people to come out." I'm like, "What? What?" And that just like it lets you know that like they're kind of used to not having, a packed out stadium. And a lot of people will say, "Well, I'm not going to a team that's consistently losing." You can't. I mean, for a fact, let's look at the Jaguars and the Jets last year. That Jaguars game, I was expecting, little crowds here and there, some seats filled out, some seats, a couple people here. They had a fully packed out stadium. I mean, until that point, I think they had won one game, and that was the week before.
I think they were 2-9.
Yeah, 2-9. 2-9. With a rookie quarterback, a head coach that was literally got fired 2 weeks later, and nothing to hope for, but they still came out to the game. And then the Jets, now we played them in London, but we had more fans for both sides, and really for us, just us in general, that showed up to our London game, our Falcons fans, than they did in the city that we play in. That's not supposed to happen. That's really not. I mean, if you can tell me that we can fly to a different country and we'll have more fans supporting us there than the state and the city that we play in, I don't know how the players play hard, but hey, must be Coach Smith, getting into them. But gotta show up more, gotta show some more love, and that goes for me too. I mean, I've only shown up to 2 games the past 3 years, but I'll be there week 1 against the Saints. Y'all can find me there. My live stream. I don't know.
Same sentiment for me. 2 games in the past 3 years, but I have a different story.
Oh yeah, you're all the way in California. I can see you.
Right.
You got to get plane tickets, hotels, then the money for the ticket, and then food. Yeah.
It's just a whole problem. But all right, any other quick round because I want to move on to the next segment. Just start throwing out some answers. You don't have to give a quick explanation. I just want a couple more things to add to our list so that we can get on to our next follow-up question. And as you guys can think of some, I'm going to add some off the cuff as well. I got anything else to offer?
No, I mean, I think we can touch on everything.
Same for me.
All right, chat, how we doing? Give you about a minute. And while we wait for that, just going to do just going to pause this thing for a brief moment because I have an update. Yes, I have another update. Basically, I was never able to properly show off my logo to everyone. And by the time that, I wanted to have it shown off in its entirety, I was going to try to include it in an intro for my next video, which is still being in the works, like both the video itself and the editing process on my end, but then also the intro is still in the development process. But I'm getting a little antsy. So, all right. Feast your eyes on the brand new logo for myself and possibly for the show, possibly for whenever you else decide to see it. 3, 2, 1.
Now that just looked beautiful.
Nice.
Got the 8
That
right
there
there.
is beautiful.
You have to slide that over for me though. Might need that. Oh wait, no, never mind. You already slipped the pick. See?
Yeah.
Look, yeah, man. This is just a one step in the making from greatness. This, and whenever you start a channel like yours, and you're kind of coming up, you always got to have that nice logo to kind of be like, dang, I wonder what this dude do. But yeah, this logo right here is like beautiful.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna try to have this in motion too. Whenever I figure out how to do that. So yeah, it turns out having a portrait of me, turns out it kind of looks like me. Uh, but yeah, very artistic. Thank you very much. Took about like 5 days in order to get this set up from when I asked to when it was sent over to me. But yeah, just thought I had to flex that for the one time. And anything else that you guys have? Let's see. Oh, the description. So I added something else there. Just a slight little thing for those that want to check out the description. I always put something, some brief little paragraph, but then I have, like the whole links and everything. But I added an extra link, and it is to my Cash App. So if you guys want to send any sort of super chats, just know that it's going to be sent over to the channels and whoever has the bank accounts like linked to the channels and stuff. So it won't ever go to me if you ever wanted to donate and do anything to me. So now that I have my channel linked up here so that it can be a part of the show, my donations things will be available as well to anyone that wants to try it. So just thought I'd throw it out there. I'm not going to be trying to like beg for it, but at the same time, just want you guys to know it's there. All right, now let's move on to the next portion. We have all of our answers set up. I don't really think I saw anything else. So let's get into our follow-up question, which goes, how far can these factors take them throughout the season? So basically, as we were talking about this, I put down all of our answers here on the right-hand side. So we have edge rushers, we have hefty fellas on the front, the D-line, we have center, we have a belief from the actual team, we have graded Jarrett, pre-snap penalties, Marcus Mariota, safety play, Brian Edwards, passion from the fan base, and then I just add one more thing on the third down play calling. So what we're going to do from here on out, we're going to put these factors in. This is Trey's list of opponents where he is the least afraid all the way down to the most afraid to face throughout the season. So you have Bears, Panthers, Seahawks, Commanders, Browns, Steelers, Chargers, Ants, Cardinals, Ravens, 49ers, Bucks, Bengals, and then Rams. And then we're going to try to see, all right, well, does this factor equate to a win against each of these opponents as we go down the gauntlet, if you will? So the first thing we're going to plug in is these edge rushers. So having our edge rushers perform up to par, right? Which I think we got to figure out like what that means. So Trey, since this was your answer, what do you think that means in order to have like we feel confident about who our edge rushers is. Like, what do you think that's going to have happen?
I'm gonna say at least one double-digit guy, and I'm not gonna say like 15 to 20 because that's like Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt. I mean not J.J. but T.J. Watt numbers. But or I see like 10 to 12 sacks, like a breakout star. Lorenzo, I think Ade really might have a good breakout year, but I think one double-digit guy and then a 7-8 sack guy from our starters, and then kind of like the rotation pieces, whoever those are, most likely going to be D'Angelo and Ade. kind of having like 5 to 6 sacks. And then just, opening up space and making sure they have the tight ends and running backs have to chip them, and then also making sure tackles have to pay attention to them. So for me, that's from where I'm going at.
All right. So I guess essentially what I'm also saying is, all right, barring everything else, because obviously our roster changed so much to the point where I really can't say that, hey, just copy and paste the results of a certain player position group from last season onto this season, have nothing else changed, then let this be the case, because basically most things changed on our team. So if everything is just average, like our expectations, like they didn't really exceed, they didn't really disappoint, but they were just kind of average. But the only other thing that we felt proud of this season was our edge rushing class. Is that enough alone to get us past the, well, let's say Bears?
Yes, definitely. Really? Yeah, because the Bears are really the worst team that we played this year. So yeah, I'll say that. Plus, really against a second-year struggling quarterback. Yeah.
Somehow the does not want me to do great things, apparently. What the heck is going on? All right, everything okay. All right, edge rushers. Does it help us beat the Panthers?
Yeah.
Because whenever it get, why is it doing this? Because whenever it gets to the point where we're still kind of iffy, we're going to throw in the next possibility.
All right.
Seahawks.
Edge rushers are enough to stop Drew Lock or Geno Smith. Yeah.
Bro, this is just. It says, like, when I do a whole copy and paste thing.
Technology hates us.
There we go.
Specifically us.
The Commanders. Does edge rush alone help us beat the Commanders?
Enough to stop Carson Wentz.
I do have Antonio Gibson. They do have Terry McLaurin. They do have some other rising pieces up on that team. And although they lost Brandon Sheriff, their offensive line was still never really all that bad.
Yeah. And I don't really know about Terry because, that contract situation. But I haven't heard much lately. But I'm going to go with no because Carson Wentz just seems to have good games against us. So I'm going to say no on that one.
Okay, so now we're going to help them out then with the hefty fellas in the front then. All right, so now our edge rushers are on par. Our, Anthony Rush, Nick Thurman, and Taquan Graham, they're also on par. Is that still enough?
I'm going to say yeah, because really Carson Wentz doesn't do good against defensive line pressure.
Alex, you've been kind of quiet. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we win with the hefty fellas.
All right, so now let's see the edge rushers, hefty fellas. Now that takes us to the Browns. Browns, so questionable at the quarterback position, but we know that they're going to be like a top run team. Probably going to be one of the best run offenses in the NFL. Barring whatever the Colts or the Titans or maybe the Ravens do. So, what are we thinking here?
I'm going to say no, just because, I don't know, like Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and whatever quarterback they have. Plus,
I think it might be Jacoby Brissett, worst case scenario.
Yeah. And he did beat us the last time with less. So, but that was with a different coaching staff and Wheeler's.
Different coaching staff, different roster.
Yeah.
All right, so now.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
All right, what's it going to take in order to beat this Browns team? Because we're also playing them early on in the season too.
Yeah, and the Browns were really never that good early on.
All right, let's go with just having everyone just buy into the aggressiveness, the physicality, because I know that it was stated before that hey, we got ourselves a right here. Well, that's a tough schedule, lol. But we can be a tough team, and
Yeah,
you would never be none the wiser, right?
I mean,
So if we make sure that all is up to snuff, what's it going to take?
look at the 49ers. They were really the toughest team last year, and they nearly went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and Deebo Samuel.
True.
Yeah, they barely even used George Kittle the entire time either.
Well, he was on IR most of the year, but
right. So it kind of makes it even more impressive.
Even
Let's
in
go on
Packers
to.
game.
All right, so Trey, I know you mentioned that we might have one guy with double-digit sacks. What about that guy Grady?
Boy, double-digit Lorenzo or Arnold or 80 and Grady Jarrett. Well, that sounded about good to me. I'm gonna say yeah.
All right, now we got the Steelers. Same
Heck yeah.
formula. Does that help?
Yes, definitely. If the D line is good enough, if Grady and the rest of the D line is going off against Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, yeah, I'm gonna say that's the.
Plus, we're also scaling back the responsibilities of Najee Harris.
Yeah, and then you also have a delusional wide receiver that says he's top 3 and isn't even top 2 on his team.
Yeah, because you also have Deontay Johnson. We also have to see what George Pickens develops into. And also your favorite wide receiver, Calvin Austin.
I was so upset about that, but
All right, so you're saying that's a win, Alex? You agree? If these factors are still on the table,
that's
Chargers.
No. Yeah, no.
All right, so now let's say that hey, pre-snap penalties become a problem that was put aside us. Like we don't have to dig ourselves out of any holes, so we're not really hurting ourselves in the event that we have to defeat this team.
I'm gonna say no because they're like the talent, especially on that defense. My God, but yeah, I'm gonna say no. But that does help though. It does make it a closer game. I'm gonna say no.
All right. Now, Trey, you were also mentioning about other quarterbacks, right? Like the Ryan Tannehill resuscitation of his career, the Jameis Winston resuscitation of his career. What if Mariota has that kind of just momentum swing, right? Because, no one was really expecting Ryan Tannehill to be that good. No one was expecting Jameis Winston out the gate to look that fantastic against, a fully healthy, I want to say, Packer secondary.
I mean, yeah, because Jair got hurt the second week of the season, so yeah, that was a fully healthy team.
Now they didn't. I don't think they had Rizal Douglas, but they still had Eric Stokes.
Eric Stokes and Eric Stokes went off last year. So yeah.
So now what are we thinking?
I'm gonna say yeah. If he ends up having like that kind of Jameis Winston pop-off start like Jameis had last year, I'm gonna say yeah, because the Chargers are like very inconsistent when it comes to winning games. I mean, they went from blowing out the Giants to getting blown out the very next week to the Houston Texans. So, hey, like any given Sunday or we played them on Sunday. Yeah, any given Sunday. So I'm gonna say yeah on that one.
Alex, is this enough to get by the Chargers?
You on mute?
Alex?
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
what you
that
think?
defensive line is a bit intimidating in Los Angeles.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You got
what's Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack.
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking.
I
I'm
mean,
talking. I'm talking about the nose tackle that everyone was praying to God we got.
Good
Um,
old
oh
Sebastian Joseph
yeah,
Day.
Sebastian Joseph Day, man.
goodness freaking
Sebastian Joseph
gracious,
Day.
bro.
Uh,
I was advocating the heck out of that, man. Jeez,
you got
but
him.
yeah,
You got Joey Bosa, IR Joey Bosa, IR Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson,
Yeah, but
Asante Samuel,
who their
IR
linebackers
Derwin
are
James.
too.
IR Derwin James, and there
I
were the
think they got
safeties who I
Kenny
keep
Young.
forgetting. To be honest, I don't even know if the Chargers are going to be that good this year because they're never healthy. Like, Derwin James hasn't played a full season in 3 years. Joey Bosa hasn't played a full season since his second or third year in the league. And Khalil Mack ain't been the healthiest the past 2 years. So
And we face him like dead center in our schedule too.
Yeah.
True that, but think about this though, right? Brandon Staley obviously runs quarters coverage, and he has all of his pieces now. He's got J.C. Jackson, who is a press man corner, but can play zone. He played mostly man or cover three in the Patriots system. So I guess a too high defense is a little bit out of his comfort, but not impossible. You have
Just give some more help.
what's it called? Yeah, and you got Asante Samuel Jr. on the outside, who's quite athletic and fast enough to hang with the deep quarters. He's a little bit small, but that doesn't really matter because when I was scouting him last year, his height wasn't really going to stop him from playing on the outside. But against us, with our goons, it's not going to, he's going to get lost. But that's besides the point. You have Derwin James, who can carry routes anywhere. You have Nasir Adderley, who's the weak point in the safety group. And then you have these linebackers who I think they have Kenny Young, if I'm not mistaken. I forget who their linebackers are, but
Yeah, Kenny
I noticed that they got
Kenneth
Kenny
Murray.
Young. Oh, Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquil and Kenny Young. They got a good linebacker room. Not to and those guys can. I won't say that they can match on shiftier receivers, but our guys aren't like the most shifty, so they can match on our guys. And then their pass rush, they got goons. They got Khalil Mack. They got Joey Bosa. They got Jerry Tillery. They got Sebastian Joseph Day. Oh my gosh. And then we didn't even talk about their offense. They got Rashawn Slater, who's up there. They got Austin Eckler.
Probably a round one fantasy player.
Didn't they get another wide receiver? Hold on. I'm about to check this.
They re-signed Mike Williams.
Yeah. And
they
also
got another slot wide receiver.
And also, just a side note, guys, we are having a fantasy league if y'all are, worried about that. But continue on, Alex.
Oh, geez, goodness gracious. Okay, so they got Isaiah Spiller. I forgot about that. And no, never mind. They didn't get a slot receiver. And they got Gerald Everett. So goodness gracious. Oh, and they got Zion Johnson.
You also can't forget Donald Parham too in the red zone possibility. Like a 6'9" tight end.
True. And Trey McKitty was someone I liked in the draft process last year. I don't really want to think about their roster because now they're gonna make me upset. And now I'm gonna find a new team to hate. And so yeah, we have the Chiefs. Chargers are up there too. Screw the Chargers. So
all right, well, let's think about this, all right? Because we're still going through. Hey, but what if our edge rushers are among the top in the league? What if the hefty fellas are helping out the edge rushers to be even better? What if our center does not become a problem? What if Grady Jarrett becomes just another breakout stud and has himself another Pro Bowl, possibly All-Pro year? What if our pre-snap penalties are no longer a problem for us, or at least not as big of a problem as they were last year? What if Marcus Mariota just goes through a career resuscitation? Because, if you think too much about your opponent, then you're going to lose just based off of your lack of confidence in yourself.
True.
Because now I'm going to add something else in here just for the mix. Our safety play becomes something that you don't want to mess with.
I mean,
maybe we don't even allow it because, like I said, however good that of the offense that we were facing while on defense, we still never gave up a play over 40 yards. What if that becomes an even lower number next year?
And we never really gave up anything over 30 either. I think the biggest play that we gave up was like 22 yards or 23. And I think that was like
it might have been a little bit. Yeah.
No, it was like 28. And it was like on a kind of a blown up coverage. Duran didn't know what was going on. And AJ Terrell was playing cover 2, and Brady just kind of squeezed it in between on a Mike Evans fly route.
Oh, yeah.
But and that was all the way in like week 12, and after that, there was really no other like, oh my God, that was just a huge play, right? So I mean, you got 2 ball hogs back there. I mean, let's not act like Richard Grant wasn't a ball hog back at Central Florida. Of course, you seen what Jalen Hawkins can do last year, and then we all know what AJ and Casey Hayward are gonna do, and then
DMPs is gonna unlock the playbook even more so because he's gonna have more confidence in the pieces than last year.
And then you put Isaiah Oliver back at the slot, bro. Oh, my goodness. And then a Darren Hall if you have to, because other than a couple mishaps, he had a pretty good, decent slot season.
Let's just think about our 1v1 Keenan Allen against AJ Terrell.
I'm taking AJ. No. Taking AJ.
Like, if he snuffed out Stephon Diggs and their stopping grounds in the snow, come on.
I don't think he snuffed out.
No, he did.
Diggs.
He held Stephon to the lowest amount of yards he had all season. He had 2
like 30 yards receiving.
No, it wasn't even 30. It was 24.
And no touchdowns.
Look, okay. So statistically speaking, yes. However, I looked through that entire game when we played man coverage. There were a few plays where I was like, nah. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable like letting AJ Terrell shadow Stephon Diggs the entire game and like leaving him on an island. I don't feel comfortable doing that because there was a few plays when we were in the red zone on the first Bills drive. The first play, Stephon Diggs just got off the line and would have had an easy touchdown, but he just dropped the ball. The second play, Stephon Diggs got off the line, got separation, but they just didn't throw the ball his way. The third play, AJ Terrell was in off coverage, which I'm not really going to count that against him because off coverage is really, really hard to kind of like keep up with Stephon Diggs. But needless to say, there were quite a few instances that I charted that Stephon Diggs was able to create separation. It was enough separation to throw the ball, but the good thing about AJ Terrell is he's able to not allow many targets based off of how he is versus the release.
Speed.
No, not really. It's so when quarterbacks are more so now looking, at least in man coverage, they're more so looking. They're not trying to test AJ Terrell based off of the release, and he does really good just matching the release in the initial phases. Sometimes,
excuse me, sir. Excuse you're not going to try to. We're not playing that game with AJ Terrell.
It's the truth. I'm telling you, bro.
What's the truth?
I'm not knocking AJ Terrell. I'm just saying that.
No, sir. You said that he had. I don't give a damn about what opportunity they had.
They have opportunities to throw the ball, but they don't look his way because of how good he is during the release.
Let me get this right. Because AJ Terrell is so good, they didn't look his way.
Correct.
Oh, so that doesn't count because why?
During the release, because like when they're looking his way on they really don't look his way because they
why don't they look his way?
Because they don't get a good look.
Why?
They don't get a good look during the initial phases when they're checking the safeties and then looking towards his side.
Why?
I'm gonna just look.
Just Trey, Trey. Why?
I'm gonna just say this right here. So, of course, y'all all know I am a wide receiver and a cornerback for my school and my part team.
Yes, sir.
And the reason a lot of people don't really look at a certain way most of the time is because even though he may get beat off of that release, his makeup speed is really the best in the league. You can
He
you
does have
cannot
great makeup.
Thank
you
you, Trey.
cannot make up AJ Terrell's makeup speed. That's really one of the most important attributes to a cornerback, and he has that. And then when
And
you
there was
encounter
no greater
arm,
example of that than the deep post that Josh Allen had 6 seconds to throw that.
Exactly. Let me
And he
speak
still
on one thing real
had
quick. Let me speak
the
on one
deflection.
thing real quick. This the greatest corner I think most of us can say is the greatest corner is Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders made you believe that you were open wide, Trey. So he could make it up. All right. He had the greatest makeup speed that I've ever seen a DB have in the history of the game. He made you believe that you were open. And then guess what happens? He take it the other way for a guy that I personally believe created the pick six. So this is why, okay, Alex, these guys don't go to AJ Terrell. Do you remember what happened in the championship game when he had that pick six? This is the reason why they're doing it. So it's not that, you know, Diggs is beating him. A lot of these DBs, Jalen Ramsey, AJ Terrell, you know, Champ Bailey, you can go back on and on and on. A lot of these games make you think that you're open, and quarterbacks know better than that. And just, all right, he's open. Well,
I
you
mean,
think 5 yard cushion, a 3 to 5 yard cushion is open in the NFL. A lot of times it's not, depending on the cornerback that you've had. So it's not so much that, like, when you look at film, these guys, oh, he's open. Well, no, the quarterback knows he's not open because he knows the DB 9 times out of 10, he's going to take that sucker to the back. So,
And
I'm
you also
just
got to think about this too, because when oftentimes we find a good wide receiver or a good, just a playmaker in general, we often hear the phrase, even when he's covered, he's not really covered. Right?
Right.
There's a defensive version of that too. It's like, hey, even when he's open, he's not really open. And that's the main thing that Mount Mike is trying to say. Is because, like, you can fake and you can pretend and you can, and all this other stuff. But when that ball gets there, you are no longer feeling 50-50 about your receiver making that play. You are no longer feeling confident that they can get there. And oftentimes, AJ Terrell got there right when the ball needed to be deflected. Not a second later, not a second earlier.
I mean, look at that Patriots game, that the interception he had against Jonnu Smith. Mac Jones is staring him down. I mean, it looks like he's open, AJ Terrell right there. As soon as the ball is thrown, jumps in and is picked off. I mean, if you look at the play itself, that play does not look like AJ is going to be there to intercept that ball. Let's just all be honest. If you're looking at it from a TV screen,
he has remarkable makeup speed.
You're like, what is AJ doing? He just let somebody blow right past him. No, he wants Mac Jones to throw that so he can do what he did in that game. And after that pick,
too.
And look, and after that pick, guess where the ball never went?
Deflection was nice.
Guess where that ball never went after that? Back to AJ's way.
He never went back to AJ. Yeah.
Never went back to AJ.
It's true. But I think more important, like, yeah, that's true. I'm not saying he doesn't have great makeup speed, but more importantly, quarterbacks in general just stop looking his way based off of how he match the release. Because at a certain point, people just stop going to AJ at all. Like, initially, yeah, they looked towards his way later in the route, but midway through the season, they just stopped looking at him, period, because he was just killing, just not allowing a good look. They did that against when we played the Cowboys. Dak Prescott didn't really even look his way at all. We just test our other corners for matchups because they watched a whole bunch of film. And I think that's kind of the thing. They watched a whole bunch of film because they knew that they weren't going to get a look that they like in time. So they were just like, nah, that's not gonna be what it is. Now, I'm not saying that AJ Terrell isn't a great corner, but I also think that there are some times where I see receivers get open, and I'm like, had he not turned his head away and he looked at him, I know he could have got that ball to the receiver, regardless of making.
You know what that amounts to? Intimidation. fear.
That's what it
Intimidation.
is. That's what it is.
Exactly.
So
People are
even when
very
you beat
intimidated by
him,
AJ.
you're not going to get the reward
Right.
Exactly.
because
That's
your
what I'm
quarterback
saying.
is not on the same page.
I mean, look at
Yeah,
the
that's
Super
what I'm
Bowl.
saying. That's what AJ is. He's a great corner, but besides the fact that he's a great corner, it's more so intimidation because people
You
just
do.
don't even want to look his way
Let me
anymore.
throw some.
They just,
Let me throw another. Well, I don't know the exact stat, but when you talk about the lack of separation, AJ Terrell ranks among the highest in cornerbacks. When we talk about the separation from wide receiver and corners, so a lot of these guys aren't as open as you. It may look like on film. Why? Because what we just explained with the quarterbacks and the receivers, it's all about timing. They have to understand when this guy's going to break, and if there's a slight um, mishap as far as like, all right, he fumbled the ball, or this guy didn't come out when the quarterback felt comfortable throwing it, they don't make the throw. So it's not so much that these guys are not only intimidated, it's a number of factors that go in it. And like when you have a guy like AJ Terrell Ramsey, you don't want to necessarily take those chances. So it's a number of factors. It's not just all right, intimidation, but when you have a corner like that, intimidation, is the number one factor. But it's a number of factors that goes into it.
I mean,
what
I'm
I'm
gonna just
also
give
excited. Oh yeah, you got Trey.
I'm gonna just give an example right here about the intimidation thing. Look at the Super Bowl. I mean, you look that last play, like literally the last play to make his last drive. Jamar Chase has Jalen Ramsey beat. Now, of course, Jamar Chase didn't have that big of a game because Jalen Ramsey was shadowing him the entire time. But look at what happened. He beat him, obviously. I mean, he's got like about a good 5 to 6 yards of separation. But Joe Burrow's not looking that way because, hey, it's Jalen Ramsey. I have Tyler Higgins over here. I got Tyler Boyd over here. You're looking at other matchups instead of looking at their best cornerback. And
Right.
of course, you're gonna, every cornerback's not perfect. AJ Terrell is gonna get beat sometimes. Every cornerback is not perfect, but it's a reason why AJ had the least amount of receptions in the league, the least amount of yards in the league, and the least amount of attempts thrown at in the league because no other run. No. I mean, Tom Brady said it. I'm not looking at that man's way.
As they should, bro. Like
I'm not looking at it.
Right.
he top 3. You don't want to look at a top 3 corner in the league's way, bro. It's not good for you. But what I'm also a little bit excited for too is when I looked at week 16 for the Oakland Raiders versus the Chiefs, and I had seen something from Casey Hayward that got me excited. And normally I don't really get excited about watching corners, but I got excited because he went up against McCole Hardman. Now, I want you, like, Casey Hayward ain't fast. He's just not. He's not that guy. He ain't 4'4". He barely 4'5". That dude ain't fast. There is no way this man should be able to keep up with McCole Hardman. But this man stayed patient, which is bold. He didn't back up. He didn't soft shoe. He didn't do anything. He sat at the line, waited for him to make his move like he was about to play McCole Hardman from underneath, just forgetting about the deep route, and dared him to just do what he's gonna do, and he's just gonna play from just hand techniques. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's bold. Oh, he's bold. And even if they did get even if McCole Hardman did get separation, they didn't look his way. Patrick Mahomes didn't look his way because once he saw Casey Hayward just with the hand technique, he was like, nah, I don't think he's gonna get open. Move straight to the next route. And that right there got me excited. I was like, oh yeah, we got something.
So you know what that seems like to me as well. And I know that Ron D was saying, hey, Casey Hayward ran a 4.43, but that was like as his rookie year. Like they're not going to update that as to what they run right now. So he's like 30, 31, But
I mean,
just like what Floyd Conley was saying, confidence is going to take you, to your best destination. Could take you anywhere, right? It could take you everywhere. And you were describing that play, when him facing McCole Hardman, who's among the fastest in the NFL. But when you are confident in what you're doing, when you're just straight up smarter than your opponent, that creates less wasted movements on your part. You can have not as many wasted steps, and you can get to the right position where you need to be for that situation faster than your opponent, even though he's technically more speedier. So that really equates to him just studying his opponent and just learning the playbook and just feeling like, hey, this is within the parameters of what I can do in this play. So I'm going to do it because I trust my ability.
I mean, for me, I knew AJ was a dog when that Chiefs game, when every man play that he got, he didn't back off of Tyreek. He pressed him. And we all know Tyreek is literally the fastest person in the NFL. I mean, what was it, a 4.27 that he ran? 4.26, 4.27? AJ Terrell runs like a 4.4, and that's still fast, but 4.2 speed and then 4.4 speed is very, very different in the NFL.
Very different.
And when you press
there was one play in that game too where Tyreek Hill had ran a fly route, right? And AJ Terrell was behind. But his makeup speed, he almost had a chance. No, he had a chance to pick it, but just dropped it and just caught up with him. And he was behind the play, and there was some separation, but he just caught up with him and had a chance to make a pick on top of that. It's crazy.
I think we can have this conversation at another time, but I want to get along with what what most of the people are seeing on the screen. So I think we're still a little bit iffy on the Chargers. So regarding the safety play, if we add one more factor in here, which was what could have been their arch nemesis in the division, Ryan Edwards. Let's just say that he becomes such an X factor, has his own version of like a Cordero Patterson type of season. Not saying that he will, not saying that any of this is going to happen technically, but we just got to play up to our best abilities, and this is what this can look like for us. So now, barring all these factors, what are we thinking about the Chargers game still? And knowing what the Chargers are, but also what they can be by the time that we face them.
I mean, year 2 under Brandon Staley. This is really up to. I don't even think it comes out to. I mean, it does come down to the players because they have to play the game. But I think this comes down to the coaching. And we're not on that topic yet. But I'm going to say Marcus Mariota, having his type of season. I'm going to say yeah. I mean, like I said, even though we're facing a lot of quote unquote good teams, most of these good teams are very inconsistent. Cardinals, Ravens, Bucks, Chargers, Saints. My bad. Aints. Are very inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting from them really after a 2-week period. I mean, the Saints what did they go to? They went from 5-7, ended the season off 9-8, something like that.
And the biggest, and they were 5-2 when we first faced them and beat them.
Yeah,
we were 3-4. So I think also, dang it, what was I going to say? But the playoff seeding from last year and the year before. How different does that look every single time?
Very different. You see a lot of new teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, and with every new team comes a new contender, comes a new surprise into the mix, right? And I was almost going to be one to say that, this isn't about the Falcons, but I was almost going to say, hey, off the cuff, I think the Lions could be like a sneaky contender for the 7 seed.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it comes down to Jared Goff not being 2020 Jared Goff, but if he ends up having that 2000. I mean, at least half of that 2018 season, and defense does what they did last year, and then J-Mo, and as an Alabama fan, I love my J-Mo, and DeAndre Swift and T. Jackson go off. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going something like 9-8, especially with the Packers looking like the Packers and the Bears looking like the Bears. Really, they could be fine for the two spot in that division.
Yeah, like I can.
Sometimes you wouldn't put it past them, but it's like, this is the fluctuation of the NFL season. So, I'm not going to list that as a factor, but that is a factor from, not just specifically us, but the entire league. This is what gives that feeling of, hey, you're still in a race for the playoffs, and then what treats it as a race, because you still have to figure out where you end up on the finish line.
That's true.
And this is why the race for the 7th seed becomes such a big thing, even though that the resulting wild card game, it didn't really amount to much, but the race was there, and the race existed for all those other middling teams like ourselves.
Yep. We gotta still understand that the Lions, while they had a terrible record, they were still hanging in there with a lot of teams. And some of their losses, I mean, quite a few of their losses, honestly, just kind of just went to just one or two bad plays. Like their first game against the 49ers. I'm pretty sure that was a close game, but they just, or they made
it was a close. It was a close game because of the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. They it was a close game. They were behind for a bit, but then they caught up and almost won the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know all the specifics on their scheme and what they're gonna run, and also I'm not entirely sure what their roster looks like. But I think that well, first of all, actually no, I do know one thing. I know that they do still run run the ball quite a bit and kind of use a little bit of play action off of that. And I think that right there is going to be very important, because you do have separators now with DJ Chark and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then when Jameson Williams comes healthy, goodness gracious, you're going to have to figure out a plan for him, because that dude has game-breaking speed. And that's something that all defensive coordinators are going to have to look out for now. When he gets healthy, you're gonna have to make sure and dedicate extra resources to stop that man, because I honestly don't even think that Jameson Williams is really the best route runner, or even that good of a route runner. But his speed alone is just what gives people a headache, and it's crazy.
All right, moving on. Speaking of which, so we're gonna say TBD, I guess. we gotta get on through the rest of this list.
Oh yeah, the Chargers. Yeah. I'd rather not give a verdict on that. Yeah.
All right. Next opponent.
Saints. We don't need to even discuss this. We already know the answer.
Yeah. We beat them with barely anything last year. I'll take what we have now.
Exactly. I want to say Anthony Rush barely played the game when we played the Saints, I think, and we still won. So yeah.
Now this one I have to add a slash, because obviously we faced them twice.
Oh yeah, and then Michael Thomas might be healthy and stuff like that.
I'm gonna say we beat them week 1, losing week 18.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Because we always
here's my question.
Might be back too.
So here's my question: where do we get the sensation that the Saints are going to be who they think they're going to be?
Nothing really.
Well, here's what I think. Well, first of all, Jameis Winston, he showed some things that I liked before he got injured. Maybe the 3-game period before he got injured, he showed some things. I was like, oh, okay, that. I mean,
when he lost week 2 against the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, when you lost week 2, Sam Darnold just outplayed him. Like that's not good. But
Okay,
when you look
so
at but hold on. When you look at the game that they played against the Commanders, the game that they played, I forget who they played after the Commanders, but then they played the Bucks. That 3-game period, he looked really, really good. And the reason why he looked really good, honestly, was because he used his legs a little bit more. And that's kind of the thing that set him apart. I think his improvisational skills are kind of what's gonna separate him now, because Jameis Winston is the type of dude that is gonna sit inside the pocket, try to make a play out of nothing, and try to work to his check down, see if someone's open. If it's not open, he's still gonna try to make a play, which is why he either threw an interception or took a sack. But now he's getting a lot better at making sure that if his reads aren't there, finding a window. I still wish he could throw that he threw the ball away a lot more, but he's getting a lot better. And also, he doesn't have that much of a load now because, first of all, he's got an insane wide receiving core, and also when AK comes back, he won't have to throw the ball so much. So the Saints on the offensive end are pretty decent, and on the defensive side of the ball, while they lost Marcus Williams and they lost someone else, I think. They basically replaced him with Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu. So they're still going to be running the same scheme, like literally the same scheme, and probably do it a lot better. So like I still think that the Saints are still a team to like not like just say, oh, they're the Saints. Like it's kind of something to just keep an eye out on.
I'm going to say this while I ate this sour patch about the Saints. I'm going to give you all about 3 to 4 reasons why I think the Saints are overrated. One, you have a quarterback coming off of an ACL tear. Yes, an ACL tear that he has to get the retrust back in his knee. He has to get his movement back. And, oh, yeah, he just missed about half a year of football. Plus, he's missing some OTAs right now. I mean, not OTAs, but, he missed some OTAs. 2, your insane wide receiving core comes off of a washed Jarvis Landry, a rookie wide receiver in Chris Olave, and a wide receiver in Michael Thomas who's missed 2 years of football.
And he's still limping from the ankle injury.
And is still limping from the injury. Number 3, you have a beaten down Tyrann Mathieu who's injury prone. Marcus May, he's like a free roam safety, so he's not really good in the too high.
They still have Daniel Sorensen on the team, so that's going to do
that may
wonder
help,
for Tyrann Mathieu.
Oh, they have Daniel Sorensen?
Yeah.
Daniel Sorensen?
4, you're missing Alvin Kamara for what, 6 games? 6 or 7 games. At least, yeah, because that's just the at least. We have, 6, 7 at the at least part. You might get more. You're most likely going to get more. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a under fact. And, oh, yeah, you just lost your all-pro left tackle,
Oh, yeah.
Ron Sarvstead, and you're going to replace him with Trevor Penning, who we all know that, yeah, he can be like a solid, aggressive tackle. But the thing is that he is raw as raw can look like on a tackle right now. And he's projected to start week 1 as well.
Yeah, ideally you would.
And going up against Arnold Katie, that didn't pan out for him all that well when they went up against each other in the Senior Bowl either.
In the Senior Bowl, yeah, that wasn't a good matchup.
And my bad, I forgot y'all have a whole new head coach too. So.
And Dennis Allen, true that.
That scars Raiders fans to this day.
True, but here's the thing though, right? When we're talking about the Saints, right? You got to still keep in mind that they still do have some weapons. For example, Trevor Penning, I hear, is being worked out with one of the better technique offensive lineman coaches in the league. So quite optimistic about that for a Saints, if you are a Saints fan. Then you have Traquan. Traquan
just remember
Smith.
who the audience is. Who the 37 people watching?
Oh, right. Never mind. No one's the same thing. Right. Okay. Anyway. You still have they have Traquan Smith, who's a decent number 2, not great but decent. They had Marquez Callaway, who showed some flashes, and I mean he's a sleeper. You got Chris Olave, who is a rookie but does have some speed and will like you can't sleep on his speed. If Michael Thomas comes back, I'm not really worried about. I mean, I'm still worried about Michael Thomas, regardless of injury. If he hasn't played in 2 years, I'm still worried about Michael Thomas. That's not going to change. On the defensive side of the ball, Marcus May technically has played in 2 high safety coverages for a decent bit, especially when Jamal Adams was there. They played a bit of 2 high, not whole time, but they played in some 2 high. But also Marcus May can also make some money off of his man coverage skills, which if they're gonna play some quarters coverage, that's gonna come in handy along with Tyrann Mathieu, who honestly I don't really think he's washed. I don't think he's washed. I think I think that's kind of a I don't know. I don't think that's kind of true. I think they're kind of gonna just use more two high safety coverage shells. And also, I'd like just to point out one last thing. Paulson Adebo, I think, is a corner that's slept on. I think Marshawn Lattimore is hyped up and overrated as I don't know what. But I think that Paulson Adebo is someone who slept on, because that pick against us in the last game of the season over Russell Gage, he had good technique but was beat with speed, but still had enough length to still make a one-handed interception on an island. That dude he's physical, and he's shown it on multiple games. Like against a lot of receivers, he uses his length very, very well, and that's something that kind of
in response to that play. Who was quarterbacking then, and who was catching the ball then? Are either of them on our team right now?
True. That is.
No, I'm not gonna say that.
We have a bigger target too. So
okay, but I do.
And that's what
it is something to know.
Like, remember our clip that we were sending about like the deep throw from Mariota to Pitts in the double coverage game where Richard Grant was in coverage there. Like, you could get chased with that.
Also got mossed by Chris Godwin. So like, I mean, you know,
he's still a work in progress. All right. Like, you're not saying you're not saying year 2 Richard Grant has just gotten, because we never seen the game.
Hold on, but Richie Grant, 6 foot, got mossed by Chris Godwin, which is how tall is he? Like, I feel like he's like not that much taller. Yeah, like maybe 6'2", maybe 6'1".
I'm sure Bob Sanders got mossed by a couple of people, but that didn't stop him from being a defensive player of the year.
No, but that wasn't Richard Grant that got mossed. That was Isaiah Oliver. I do remember that play. No.
That was week 13. Isaiah Oliver was injured then. That was week 13. I know which game you're talking about. Week 2 when he got a touchdown. No, not that play. It was like a week 13 where he got mossed and they ended like they were like on the 35 or something like that. But needless to say, my point is that Drake London's concern is with separation. And while I think that it's not really a problem when people don't get his hands on Drake London, because if people don't get their hands on Drake London, he'll easily just toss people aside. However, if you get a little bit physical with him, like for example in the Colorado game, he didn't really have. I mean, he still got his, but he was a little bit less productive. And you could see it a little bit on film. They got a few pass deflections on him, and he wasn't able to get as much separation because they were using good technique and just trying to be physical. Now, not just like jabbing recklessly, but
all I know is if Cordell Patterson got separation, like good separation on Paulson Adebo, and he was constantly known as a guy that had separation issues and route running issues.
True.
I think we'll be fine with Drake London.
On the same route that he did literally 3 quarters ago. That's what y'all don't remember. It was the same play.
Alexander? No, that was Alexander, right? That was.
I think that was, but still, like, Olamide Zaccheaus got separation against them.
Okay, that's different. Okay, now that's different because no, because I'm about to explain why that's different. First of all, Olamide Zaccheaus, when he's running crosser and post corner routes, is one of the best dudes that I see run that route because he literally learned from the best, from Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. So like from a route running perspective, I know that Trey said that Bryan Edwards is one of our best route runners on the team. I can guarantee you, Olamide Zaccheaus is one of our best route runners on the team. He's just a little bit slow, and also he doesn't have great length. That's it.
And he can't pass on that information to the other receivers in the room because.
Okay, well, even when you do, it still takes a minute. And even out of college, he was still a great route runner. That wasn't really kind of the issue. He just he got more amplified because of Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. But
hold on, OZ is not slow.
He actually is, despite.
OZ is our slot speed guy. That's what Arthur said last year. OZ, even though he was basically out of position last year, he was our slot speed. He was really the only fool we sent on deep post and deep corners and fades because he's the only dude that has at least immediate speed on the team.
Well,
I mean, of course you send Kyle Pitts down there, but Kyle Pitts is different. You know, he's a 4.4 speed, 6'6" tight end / wide receiver. OZ is like our. I mean,
here's the thing. OZ got separation deep more often than not on corner post routes, kind of like the things that Tyler Lockett runs. And yeah, Tyler Lockett is fast, but OZ is a little bit. I'm not gonna say that he's slow, but when you look at his 40 time and how he runs away,
Mad Mike just gave us the 40 time. He says OZ runs a 4.4.
Low 4.4s, because when I checked, I'm pretty sure it was low 4.4s. He can get caught up. Not to mention with his lack of length and not being the greatest at the catch point. If you get your hands on him, it's kind of wraps. Low key is kind of wraps. But on Paulson and Debo, when you're running those crosser routes, I mean, you might as well just call it like roast turkey, because that man's not getting caught. He's not getting caught. Like I promise you, Olamide Zaccheaus is one of the best route runners I've seen on those crosser and post routes. Just insane.
Look, this is what I'm gonna say about OZ.
And then
if
we
you
can
can
get
beat
on
Dante Jackson on a post route 1-on-1 and then outrun him too, you're fast. Dante Jackson ran a 4.3, really a 4.29. So if you can beat him on a post route while he's step per step with you, and then beat him at the catch point too, I will say you're a fast, very fast dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now,
all right, let's get on with the rest of our conversation here.
how many more teams?
Hold up.
Because we have
Hold up. 1 second. Alex, did I tell you about being technical? You're not going to say he's slow when he's 0.5 of a second slower than Kyle Pitts, okay?
That's not.
We gotta get our information right. Well, this is what we're the fastest stats in the truth, baby. You should know that.
I promise you it's low 4.4s. I promise you it's low 4.4s. I checked. It was low 4.4s.
That's you telling me 0.5 of a second. Do you know how fast 0.5 of a second is? It's not that much of a difference.
That's like a blink of an eye.
It's literally that.
4.8.
Man, y'all killing me tonight, man.
Look. On the crosser routes, it doesn't show up because of his burst outside of his routes. I'm talking about more of his long speed. I'm not saying anything about his burst, but I'm saying about his long speed. When he's running away from people, if the play breaks down from a guy.
I mean, he has like 40, at least in the last 2-3 years, the guy has at least 5 plays over 40 yards at the very least.
Yes.
So
because
we've seen several times him run completely away from the defense. So
wasn't his first reception like a 94 yard?
90, yes, it was like a 92, I believe.
Yeah, it was
92, 94. One of
it was the longest reception of Matt Ryan's career.
Yeah.
True that. Yeah, but most of the ways he gets open are through like stutter and go / bite routes.
That's the art of
that's the art of route running than his speed is what I'm trying to say. He gets open deep more so because of his route running rather than his long speed.
No, that's not true, Alex. That's not true, Alex.
That is very much true.
That's not true. I've seen him literally have a go route, and there's literally no stutter step.
Before we go on to the next thing, ain't that what Tyreek Hill doing his routes? The stopping goals, the stutters. That's how he gets open. I mean, he's fast, but speed ain't gonna win every time.
Yes, it's the art of route running. But you did say one thing, Alex, that he learned from Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, so he knows how to get open a lot. And this is one of the reasons why we say time and time again that you can't look at 40 times, because a lot of these guys in the league are running pretty much the exact same speed. So when you separate the best from the best, there's those things that you call stutter steps. Those are things that you call, looking and looking at his body language. Is his foot on the outside, foot inside? Looking at his feet, are they crossed? Like these types of things that wide receivers and DBs separate themselves. It's all footwork. Julio Jones came in, the guy was just, all athleticism. First year, rookie year was great, but he was all athleticism. The second, third year, that's when you saw Julio Jones turn into an absolute monster. And the same thing goes for I'll say this. I'll say this about Jamar Chase. He came in a lot more polished and more wide receiver as far as his route running is concerned. But one thing I see that may be a problem with him is that he tends to like to run a lot of those fly routes. Like if he wants to be the best of the best, I think he's going to have to run those short and intermediate routes a lot better, because most of his routes are deep, deep routes. And like I said, he's gonna have to take it to the Julio, and Hopkins, D Hop type. Like he's gonna have to work the middle of the field if he wants to become the best of the best. Because teams are gonna eventually take away that deep ball.
Oh yeah,
so
I mean they run. That's more of a scheme thing, not necessarily because he can't run things across the middle. They love running. They love running. What's it called? 9-8-9. Where basically T. Higgins will be on the outside and Jamar Chase will be on the outside. They'll both.
Well, it's more so the running game, not necessarily a scheme game. The running game doesn't allow you to focus on putting a safety over him. So when teams start taking away the run game, then you're going to see them double, and their running game and the offensive line is going to be you'll start to see that kind of decline. And that's why I say they did this. A lot of rookies come in the league. You see Justin Jefferson. Teams kind of figured out him. He came the first couple of years of his career. He came and had a lot of passes, but last year, I wouldn't necessarily say he fell off, but you can see defenses start to make that change. And this ain't like it goes for every wide receiver. So like it's not just picking at him. It's more of a scheme. Like you said, it's more of a scheme thing. It takes defense time to kind of figure out what you're doing. It's like that's what I like most about the NFL. It's that back and forth, that battle between, all right, wait, see what this guy can do. He go off, like Kyle Pitts do in the second year, and this is why I'm interested to see how Kyle Pitts rebounds in his second year. Is he going to learn from the doubles and triple teams like a Jamar Chase, because they're going to make adjustments to these big time receivers? It's going to happen. It's just how they're going to react to it.
Yeah, judging by his progress at tight end university, I think he's doing just fine. Cardinals, let's talk about them, because we've been definitely getting our topic for a good half of this. Good last half of this.
Cardinals.
Yeah, he can't throw across the middle.
So what do we have now? We have edge rushers.
We have edge rushers, Hefty Fellas in the front center, belief in the team just overall with the total with chemistry and its totality. We have Grady Jarrett possibly being a breakout year. We have our pre-snap penalties being limited to where it's not that much of a fault. We have Marcus Mariota potentially being the next Jameis Winston in line, or Ryan Tannehill, whatever you want to call it. Our safety play is on par, so solidifies their secondary. Brian Edwards becomes a stud. Passion from the fan base becomes a must, and that's the next thing I'm going to include with this. Now, it's because I don't know if we face them away or at home, but regardless of the case may be, like just having that throughout the season to rely on.
Yeah.
I think we face them at home. Yeah, we face them at home.
Okay, so then definitely the passion from the fan base is going to play a factor in this game. But this is also later season, like later half of the season. Cardinals.
That's week 16. Like
when D Hop is going to be here.
But also when Cliff Kingsbury is going to fall.
Yeah, I mean
because it happens time and time again.
That man can't make
this is almost a given at this point.
Dude's life, bro. Goodness gracious.
They started off 7-0 and ended 4-7.
Exactly.
So
it's adjustments. But
like
also,
they got blown up by the Lions.
They did. Yeah. But I don't blame all on Cliff Kingsbury because I mean, Kyler Murray is kind of a hard quarterback to kind of design an offense about because dude can only really throw freaking alert routes all the time. I mean, D-Hop and freaking AJ Green are like the only targets on the team. Like they throw deep routes, and outside of that, they throw screens, and that's pretty much the whole game plan, bro. Like they don't really run anything across the middle because he can't see. He basically can't see over the field, or he's not comfortable throwing over the field.
And this actually almost brings up another thing because week 1 from us last year, we were facing the Eagles, right? Like yes, we had a lot of troubles in that game, but the problem is that the scoreboard doesn't really show what actually happened in the game. What actually happened in the game was like you saw even Fabian Moreau and AJ Terrell among the many players and the many occasions where we would snuff out screens that were going on the outside sideline. We were making plays against those outside routes, even when we had to be out the gate, when we were just as unprepared as possible. So it's like we were still snuffing out screens and making sure that they weren't going to play a factor into these types of things. So if that's something that the Cardinals are going to be wanting to try to run, I mean, even at our absolute worst, we were still stopping them.
I mean Fabian Moreau he's known for that. Like,
now we have Casey Hayward. That's going to be even more known for that.
Oh yeah, you're not trying now, Casey. You're that's raps. You're not doing that.
I mean, the only screen that they got was at the end of the game, and it was like just a perfect blocking thing. You're not going to get perfect blocking on the screen every play.
And at that time, we kind of gave up. So
now with the Cardinals, there comes another factor that we have to talk about them, and that's James Conner.
Oh
because he was absolutely fantastic last year in fantasy.
I think
he led the league in rushing touchdowns. But do we see that happening a second year?
No. I mean,
I could see it becoming a factor if we don't.
Yeah, it's a fact. Yeah, he'll become a factor, but leading the league in leading rushing touchdowns in 2 years in a row.
If he leads the league in rushing touchdowns, bro, I'm gonna actually not watch football for like the rest of the year. I promise. I'm being dead serious. I'm not watching football. That if this is what life has come to, I give up. I give up. Nope, I'm not doing it.
It's just a thing, because really, what the Cardinals did last year, it wasn't a power run scheme. It was like an outside zone scheme.
Yeah.
What we suffered in last year wasn't outside zone running schemes. I mean, we literally shut it down at least 80% of the time. But what was killing us was these between the tackles, these right behind the center, these 31 dives,
the ISOs, the traps.
Those
that's
those
what
joints
killed
are.
it. When they say make a 28 stretch or 28-7 toss, these linebackers and these edge rushers aren't letting that happen. Especially the corners either. I mean, Casey, Fabian was good at that. Casey is way better at that. And we already know what AJ is as a run defending corner. He's really the best in the game behind Jalen Ramsey.
And remember what we're trying to have in our pocket. Remember what we're trying to have in our pocket, right? Our edge rushers and the hefty fellas up in the front. We don't have the same guys that we have last year. And that's a good thing.
We ain't got Route 96 and 56 push down.
True that. But also I should mention that Anthony Rush, if you want to run inside stuff like HB dive or inside zone or ISO trap, Well, trap maybe, but any of this inside stuff against Anthony Rush ain't working. It didn't work really. You don't want to try it on Anthony Rush. He's naturally built to split double teams. You can't move him. He's like a rock, bro. You're not moving him. I've seen it. Like they don't move him. The Saints, they can't move him. The Patriots, they can't move him. I done watched 8 different games of this man just sitting there, just chilling. He's not even really doing any effort. He's just chilling. They can't move him, and that right there is what we've been missing. I just want him to get faster. That's it.
All right, so our factors, are they coming along when talking about the Cardinals or talking about this game against the Cardinals? What are we going to say?
Yeah, we win that.
Oh yeah, we do need third down play calling. We're going to need that.
All right. Whew. Ravens.
End of the season, Ravens.
I think before we faced the Cardinals, at Baltimore, possibly snowing, day before Christmas, whatever you want to call it. Dominant run team, even at their worst. I guess who we have on our side?
I'm going to say no.
Now, I'm going to say let's include our 3-down play calling just being up to snuff. Because, it technically already was last year, but now we're just bumping it up, cranking that up to 11. And I'm going to say because they're such a run-heavy team, let's throw in our running back committee. Let's throw in our ability to run the football, and see how far that takes us. Because when it comes to the Ravens, they're not going to have a whole lot of outside targets outside of maybe Rashad Bateman, which is to be determined, and then whatever they want to do with Mark Andrews around the field.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, they don't have Hollywood Brown anymore, so everyone else has to step up. So it's like Devin Duvernay has to step up, and whoever the hell they have on that depth chart.
Miles Boykin.
So Miles run three tight end sets all day. That's something that they could do. I mean, they
could,
Charlie
but is that going to help them beat
us? Likely.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe, not really, but maybe. Because I'm just gonna say Eric Harris can't cover a tight end to save his life.
Well, Eric Harris may not even start by the time we get there.
I mean, really, I don't even think he's going to start throughout the season. I think the reason you bring back Eric Harris is 1, veteran in the safety room. 2, he's a leader on the team. I mean, a lot of guys said it last year. A lot of guys still say it this year. 3, kind of needed a boomer on the special teams again. And when Eric Harris did play a lot of special teams last year, and he was very good on it. So
I love Eric Harris. I just know that man can't play man coverage.
Defensive-wise, he's not going to touch the field unless some serious injury happens and we just need him to start. He's not going to touch the field on defense. Special teams, definitely.
Yeah, it got so bad. We were putting Dion on freaking. Who did we put Dion on? I forget. We were putting him on good tight, really, really good tight ends. And I was like, "What are we doing? What?"
Well, that's what he's meant for.
Doing?
That's what Dion is.
Dion really built to cover running backs.
Yeah, he's a running back, just eliminator. Ask Alvin Kamara. He does not do anything.
We were putting a Mike linebacker on top tier tight ends, and that's not why we paid Deion Jones. But he was still he did a better job of that than Eric Harris, and I was like, dude, if I see this man in man coverage, bro, I'm about to throw my phone across the window, bro. Goodness gracious, I can't do it.
I'm going to say this because we got to hurry up and finish up. But that's the reason Dean Pease was saying I didn't play as much man coverage last year because I don't have the people for it. 1, I don't have the pass rush for it. 2, I basically have 1 corner for it. And one of my linebackers is dealing with chronic shoulder injuries, and the other one really isn't that good in coverage. So,
I mean, Foye was actually pretty good, man. But yeah.
Well, now he's not on the team, so now we have Rashaan Evans, Troy Anderson, or T1000, and then Michael Walker, who could also make.
We shouldn't be playing that much man coverage this year. I'll be honest. I mean, I know that our cornerback core is good, but when we play the Panthers, I don't.
So even if we're starting to feel even more iffy as we get down the line, what we have to understand is look at all the wins that we've already piled up. 1, 2, 3,
That's
4,
a
5,
lot of
6,
wins.
7, 8, 9 wins right there, just off of small factors that can happen. On top of what we already have in store.
That's true. Some of them are a little bit harder to do for like
Well, which is why we're saying, hey, here's TB determined here, here's TB determined here. And yeah, maybe all of this stuff still isn't enough in order to beat these other teams, but we won't really know that until the games are being played.
I mean,
so in the meantime, like, hey, let's think about some of these other factors that we're not really talking about enough, or some of these like we went ad nauseum for, but then let's think of some other, like, hey, off the cuff, or maybe some, some things like, hey, pre-snap penalties, like third down play calling, passion from the fan base, like some other outside factors that doesn't necessarily have to do with the roster, but mostly has to do with the chemistry with the team and the belief in what we're buying into it. So the momentum swing, when we add up and we put all these together as far as what they can look like on an actual schedule, we'll have more on our side than we realize.
Yeah, I think what I really do like is I like how Arthur Smith was like he encouraged the defensive our outside linebackers coach to just give out tablets to our guys and have them watch the best pass rushers from their season, but more so tailored to their skill set. Like Arnold Ebiketie was watching T.J. Watt, and AO was watching Cam Jordan, and D'Angelo Malone was watching. Dude, I forgot who he was watching. But I like that because it felt like.
Heck, if I was D'Angelo Malone, I'd have him watch some Von Miller tape.
That's who he is, basically. That's a heavier one.
I don't think that's who they had him watching.
Wow.
But yeah.
Still.
Or Bud Dupree.
I don't think it was Bud Dupree either. But I remember that, like, because like last year when I was looking at AO, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know that you could do a little bit more. I know that you could do a little bit more. I know that you could do it a little bit quicker.
And well, this is the season where we get to see that play out.
Right, and the thing is, they're watching from the best. At this point, like maybe like you have all of that at your disposal. You have like the resources at your disposal, and you have your defensive line coach and your off-season coach to help you work on it. What aren't they taking a break right now? Like, they're out of training mini camp, right? So they're like on a hiatus until like training camp or something like that.
We don't start back up till July 26th.
Yeah, speaking of which, if we can try to get this done underneath 2 hours, that'd be fantastic. So
okay, never mind.
We have about 7 minutes. And we still have a couple more teams to talk about. So let's do some quick rounds. What are we thinking about the Ravens' final answer?
To be determined.
Win.
Hey, Alex is saying win. All right, and he's the toughest to turn around and ask for. So I'm gonna take that. 49ers. Now we know about the game that we played them last time, 31-13, but the final score was not necessarily the same story to be told as when actually played on the field, because we got down the red zone like a lot, probably more often than they did.
It was 5 times.
First play was like, hey, here's a red zone opportunity.
The first play we didn't score. Like I forgot.
And that was just a straight up like, hey, we just got robbed because Cordero Patterson was in, but we're not going to talk about that. But instead, let's focus on this game over here. Got the new helmet on. How are we feeling?
Win.
I'm actually, I'm gonna. Well,
that's gonna be the one game the fans
mid-season 49ers. They're not always the best. It's really when they get hot later on.
I'll go win, but I'd really go. I'm really more iffy about their defense, but I did see something later in the season from Caleb McGarry that made me more hopeful. Caleb McGarry against Nick Bosa allowed maybe 3 pressures. One pressure I don't really count because for the most part he's really good at defending that move, so I don't really count it, and I don't think it's going to happen again. But the two other pressures that he allowed were things that he allowed on multiple edge rushers, like just consistently. And now it's if you look at the New York Giants game, they'll like get him running, thinking that he's gonna do like a speed rush off the edge, but they'll go like not speed to power, but they'll like hit him with like a club / jab, like have him going in that direction, but they cut back inside. Caleb McGarry showed very good showed some improvement in the Week 18 game against Cam Jordan after he allowed a sack, ironically to the same move. But he at least showed that he understands that that's a problem and he's working to fix that. And that's kind of like the main issue that he had all season. So
final answer?
Win.
I'm gonna go win, but it's still tough.
Oh yeah, we understand at this point, it's this stage in the gauntlet. Yeah, all these things are going to be tough. Bucks. Now, a lot of us have talked about, hey, we need at least one win against Brady.
Oh yeah, that's a definite.
I'm gonna just say no. I'm not.
I'm gonna say Marcus Mariota gets like on that week 6. I'm gonna say he gets
because a lot of your our optimistic fans, or at least have them split the division. I'm not going to say we're sweeping them, but at the same time, they're not perfect against us.
I mean, they lost to us last year twice. 1 week when you're
statistically, yeah, but when the game plays out, there's still those opportunities where we can take the game back.
Week 2 nearly came back. What was that? 15.
Week 2 we lost basically on like deflections. Literally, that's it. We lost basically on deflections.
So there's possibilities there.
That was also Kyle Pitt's second game in the NFL. We know he's going to improve better than that.
Week 13 was on a Russell Gage fumble. We lost on a Russell Gage fumble. But I still say no because they have Russell Gage. And that to me isn't fair. Like, I get it, right? They had Antonio Brown, and I don't think Antonio Brown actually played. We didn't play against Antonio Brown, did we? No, I don't think we did.
No, we did once, but that was it.
In the week 2 game.
Okay, we did. Okay. They have Russell Gage. Like, at this point, like,
I'm not about to say that we're going to lose this game because they have Russell Gage, the person that was responsible for us losing against them.
Yes, because he's good. He went from being a special teamer to like one of the better route runners inside the league. And I'm like, they have him as their third slot wide receiver, and like that to me is crazy. That's crazy to me. He's debatably a number 1 on a very bad team, and he's a number 3 on a very, very good team. All
right, so we got 3 minutes though. So no.
All
right, I'll say win TBD.
Win TBD, yeah.
Bengals. Throwing everything we have at them? Still not sure?
Nah.
No.
Nah. Well, no, actually, I'm going to say maybe.
No. I'm sorry.
No.
I love us, but no.
No.
I mean, last time we faced another Super Bowl winning team week 2 at their spot, we still came close.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner. I'm not. No, thank you.
They still lost a lot more pieces than that, though.
They lost some pieces, but they still have Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, and Raheem Morris, who basically copied Brandon Staley's scheme but added a few blitzes on and innovations to it. So no, I'm good.
I'm just saying, it would be a massive upset from us.
A very massive upset.
So yeah, that's it. That's gonna be the show. And Mike just has to get that one last bit in there. But yeah, well, what'd you think about this entire thing?
Good to be back.
Yes, we are back. We are indeed back. My hot takes will be here all season, and you will see me lose hair from talking about the Chiefs. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Well, yeah. So yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. This was supposed to be an hour-long show, but as you can see, we got carried away. But thanks for tuning in. Hey, thanks for all those people that subscribe to my channel, because that's fantastic. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not gonna disappoint y'all. But just know that, hey, when we do these more types of streams, I might start pushing a little bit more about my channel, as you can see from what Mad Mike was was presenting in the AFN. So, hey, it's in the works. You're going to see more of the logo there as well as the intro. So that's in the works as well. That's going to be awesome. And yeah, thanks for everyone. And we'll see you guys the next time we decide to have this running. So
Catch y'all
Up
later.
to another channel.
Pizza.